Back when I was 21, during the summer before my final year of college, I landed what I thought was a golden opportunity, an internship at a financial firm downtown. On paper, it sounded impressive. In reality, it was endless spreadsheets, data entry, and staring at a glowing monitor for hours. Still, it paid well enough, and I figured it would look sharp on a resume. There were 8 of us interns, all squeezed into a section of the office with rows of cubicles that offered just enough separation to pretend you had privacy. Most of them were easygoing, the kind of people who joked about deadlines and didn't take the grind too seriously. But then there was one intern who stood out, not because he was hardworking, not because he was brilliant, but because he was different. His name was Daniel. At first glance, Daniel didn't fit the finance stereotype. He was tall, lanky, with pale skin and a mop of dark hair that looked like it hadn't seen shampoo in weeks. He wasn't unfriendly exactly, just off. The first time he leaned over my cubicle wall, I thought he was just being quirky. The cubicle dividers were low, so when he popped his head up, it looked like this bizarre floating face hovering above me. He'd tilt his head, grin with a frozen smile, and speak in this deliberately strange voice. It wasn't normal small talk. It was slow, exaggerated, almost theatrical. He'd say things like, "Working hard," or "Hardly working, Chris," and then hold that grin for way too long. I laughed it off, pretending it was funny, but deep down I thought, why would anyone act like this in a professional setting? The visits didn't stop. In fact, they became routine. Every day, at least once, I'd see his head rise above the cubicle wall. That same stretched grin, that same unsettling voice. Sometimes he'd mutter nonsense, sometimes he'd just stare. The other interns noticed, but they brushed it off. They thought Daniel was just trying to lighten the mood. Some even joked that he and I had some kind of inside rapport. But I knew better. He wasn't doing this to everyone. He was doing it to me. It was like he was my chosen audience, his personal stage. Weeks passed, and his behavior escalated. He'd linger longer, sometimes standing there for minutes, just watching me type. I'd fake a laugh, excuse myself, try to signal that I was busy. He rarely took the hint. Then one night, about 6 weeks into the internship, I got a phone call. The number was unfamiliar. Normally, I don't answer unknown calls, but I was waiting on a delivery confirmation, so I picked up. At first, silence. Then, that voice. Daniel's voice. "The tide's coming in. Better pull your boat ashore." He dragged the words out, louder than usual, almost a yell. And then came the laughter. That same hysterical, unhinged laughter. And then, click, he hung up. My stomach dropped. I never gave Daniel my number, not once. I tried texting back, but the message failed. When I looked up the number, it was a landline. That made it worse. How did he get my number? Why was he calling me like that? I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he found it on some company sheet. Maybe it was a prank. But the way he said that line, it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like he was trying to scare me. The following Monday, Daniel wasn't at the office. His desk was empty. I asked our supervisor, a guy named Martin, if Daniel might have gotten my number through the company. Martin looked confused. He told me interns didn't have access to employee info. Then he added something that made my blood run cold. Daniel had been let go the previous week. He wasn't doing any work, ignored warnings, they cut him loose. That's when I told Martin about the call. He looked surprised, and a few interns overheard. They admitted they'd always thought Daniel was creepy. Some said he'd made them uncomfortable too. Martin reassured me, "Don't worry, he's gone. He has no reason to come back." For a while, I believed him. Life returned to normal. No calls, no strange encounters. I started to think maybe that was the end of it, until one early morning. It was a Friday, around 5 a.m. The sky was still dark, with just a faint gray light slipping through the blinds. I got up because I thought I heard something outside. I looked out the window and froze. Standing in my backyard, halfway between the trees and the porch light, was a figure. Tall, thin, messy in hair. It was Daniel. He was staring up at my window, perfectly still, perfectly straight. For a few seconds, I couldn't move. My brain refused to process what I was seeing. Then, clear as day, I heard him call my name. "Chris!" Drawn out, song-songy, that same creepy voice from the office. I grabbed my phone, ready to call 911, but before I could, he tilted his head back and started laughing. That same loud, hysterical laughter, detached, unreal. I shouted through the window, told him I was calling the police, waved my phone. He just stood there, smiling. Then, slowly, he turned and walked into the trees, still laughing. I called the police. The dispatcher asked if he was still there. When I said no, she told me to call back if he returned or tried to break in. I never saw him again. Not at work, not around town, nowhere. The police couldn't do much. He hadn't broken in. He hadn't made a direct threat. All I could do was live with the unease. The rest of the summer passed quietly. I finished the internship. On the last day, my boss offered me a permanent position after graduation. I accepted, though a part of me felt unsettled about ever going back. I never told them about that morning. What was the point? Daniel was gone. No one knew where he ended up. Over time, I convinced myself he must have been dealing with something deeper. Maybe a mental illness, maybe a disorder. Something that explained how he went from awkward intern to standing in my backyard at 5 a.m., laughing like a lunatic. It's been years now. I moved on, got a different job after graduation. I don't think about it often, but sometimes, late at night, I still see that image in my mind. Daniel, standing in the dark, staring up at my window. And I'll never forget the sound of his laughter, like it was all one big joke. A joke only he understood. I was 17 when it happened, and trust me, it changed the way I look at people forever. At first, it seemed harmless. Just another job in a quiet town, just another coworker, just another night. But what started as small, awkward conversations turned into late-night fear tapping against my window. This is the story of how someone I barely knew became the reason I couldn't sleep at night,
and why you should never ignore the little red flags. I grew up in a small Vermont town, the kind of place where the streets went quiet after 9 p.m., where the grocery store doubled as the social hub, and where everyone thought they knew everyone else. When I landed my first real job at that grocery store, I was excited. 17, finally earning my own money, finally feeling like I was part of something. The job wasn't glamorous, scanning items, bagging groceries, stocking shelves, but it gave me independence. The rhythm of the store became familiar. The hum of the fluorescent lights, the squeak of shopping carts, the chatter of coworkers during slow hours. We'd gather near the front registers, joking about customers, swapping TV recommendations, laughing at the quirks of the older employees. It felt safe. It felt routine. But routines can be deceptive, because hidden inside them, danger can creep in quietly. There was one coworker I didn't pay much attention to at first. His name was Sean. He worked in the dairy section, stocking milk and yogurt. He was 24, older than most of us, and he carried himself with this awkward energy, like he never quite knew how to fit in. At first, he was just background noise, a nod in the hallway, a polite smile, nothing more. But then came the group chat. All the younger employees were in it, sharing memes, joking about shifts, complaining about customers. Sean was there too, and soon he started messaging me directly. At first, it was harmless. "Are you covering Friday night? What time do you usually get off?" But then the tone shifted. He started asking about my weekends, my favorite music, my hobbies, and then he called me cute. I brushed it off. Maybe he was just awkward. Maybe he didn't realize how weird it sounded. But something about the persistence, the late-night messages, the flirty jokes, made me uneasy. And here's the thing. I was 17. He was 24. That gap mattered. The first real chill came when he mentioned something I hadn't told anyone. I was at home binge-watching Stranger Things. A couple days later, at work, Sean casually asked, "You like Stranger Things, right?" I froze. I hadn't told anyone at work about that. How did he know? That was the moment I realized he was paying closer attention than I thought he was, watching me, tracking me. And then came the night that changed everything. I was lying in bed, the house quiet, when I heard it, a soft scraping against my bedroom window. At first, I thought it was the wind, maybe a branch, but then tap, tap, tap. Someone was outside. I pulled the blinds just enough to peek. Nothing. Darkness. Silence. But my heart was pounding. I couldn't prove it was him, but deep down, I knew. A few days later, Sean messaged me again. This time, I didn't ignore it. I told him firmly, "I'm not interested." His reply came instantly. "Okay, good luck changing your address." My blood ran cold. In one sentence, he confirmed everything I feared. He knew where I lived. I took screenshots. I showed my manager. I went with my dad to the police. The next day, Sean was fired. The police filed a restraining order. But here's the truth. A piece of paper doesn't erase fear. Every night, I double-checked the locks. Every sound outside made me jump. Every unknown number on my phone felt like him. Weeks passed, then months. No more messages, no more tapping. Slowly the paranoia faded, but the scar remained. Looking back now years later, I realize the scariest part wasn't the tapping on the window. It wasn't even the creepy text. It was how fast someone can shift from harmless coworker to danger you can't ignore. It starts small, a joke, a comment, a late-night message, and before you know it, you're lying awake, convinced someone is outside your window. That's why I tell this story, because if you ever feel uncomfortable, even if it seems minor, take it seriously. I survived, and that's enough. But I'll never forget the lesson. Sometimes the danger isn't obvious. Sometimes it hides behind a smile, and sometimes it's already watching you.
When I was 26, I thought my life was finally settling into something ordinary. A steady paycheck, a quiet office, a routine that felt safe. But sometimes, the places that feel the safest are the ones hiding the most danger. It started on a Friday evening, the kind of evening where the sky turns the color of bruises and the air feels heavy enough to crush you. I worked at a small insurance office tucked behind a strip mall in Pennsylvania. It wasn't glamorous. Flickering fluorescent lights, rows of desks that all looked the same, and the smell of burnt coffee that clung to the air like a ghost. Most days were uneventful. Phones ringing, papers shuffling, the hum of machines. But that night, everything was different. A storm was coming. The kind they warn you about on the local news, with maps painted in red and flashing alerts that say, "Stay inside, do not travel." By 3 o'clock, the rain was pounding so hard you couldn't see the end of the street. Thunder shook the windows like fists against glass. Lightning carved the sky into jagged pieces. The manager told most of the staff to leave early, but I stayed behind. We were behind on filing, and I didn't mind the overtime. The only other person who stayed was Tom. Tall, quiet. He'd only been working there for 2 weeks. There was something about him I couldn't place. Not creepy exactly, but strange. Like he was always nearby, always watching, always appearing 2 minutes after I did. At 5 o'clock, the storm was in full force. The office felt emptier than ever. The hum of the lights was drowned out by the sound of rain. Tom sat a few rows down, typing something on his computer. From where I sat, it looked like nonsense. Every time I glanced up, his eyes flicked toward me. I tried to ignore it, but after an hour, I realized he hadn't moved once. At 6:30, the lights began to flicker. We both laughed nervously, but when the power went out completely, the silence was suffocating. Emergency lights bathed the office in a faint orange glow. I said maybe it was time to head out, but Tom didn't answer. Instead, I heard the sound of keys jingling, the front door locking. He muttered something about it not being safe outside. The way he said it made my skin crawl. I grabbed my bag, pretending to wait out the storm, but inside, I was already planning my escape. The building felt smaller in the dark. The hallways were shadows. The storm outside was deafening. When I came back toward the front, Tom was standing at the door, staring into the black parking lot. I told him I needed to call my boyfriend. No signal, no landline, dead. When I turned around, Tom was there, standing in the doorway, a flashlight under his chin, casting shadows up his face. He smiled, half amused, half something else. I laughed nervously, told him he scared me, asked him again to unlock the door. He said, "Not yet. It's safer to wait." My stomach dropped. I packed my things, pretending to stay calm, but when I looked up again, Tom was gone. I took my chance, headed for the back door, but when I reached it, the handle wouldn't move. Chain shut, padlocked, from the inside. We had never done that before. I turned around. The faint glow of the flashlight appeared down the hall. I ducked into the supply closet, closed the door quietly, tried to keep my breathing under control. Then I heard him, walking slowly, calling my name. His voice was soft, too soft, like he was trying to sound comforting. He said he just wanted to make sure I was safe. I didn't move, didn't breathe. My heart was pounding so loud I thought he could hear it. The flashlight beam passed under the door, then disappeared. Thunder cracked. The building shook. Rain hammered the roof. I waited 10 minutes, maybe longer. Finally, I opened the door. The hall was empty. The flashlight was gone. I stepped out carefully, made my way toward the front, and froze. The glass door was shattered, rain blowing inside, carpet soaked. Tom was nowhere to be seen. I hesitated, wondered if he had gone outside, but then I realized this was my only chance. I ran, out the door, into the storm. The rain drenched me instantly. My hands shook so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. I sped out of the parking lot, didn't look back. When I got home, I locked every door, sat in the living room, watching the rain against the windows. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I told my manager. He didn't believe me until he saw the broken glass himself. The police came, took my statement. Tom's car was still in the lot, unlocked, keys on the seat, wallet, phone, personal items. The security cameras had been turned off manually before the power outage. Nobody ever saw him again. Some said he had a breakdown, but I couldn't stop wondering if he was planning something worse. I quit a month later. I couldn't work in a place that small again, not after what happened. Because sometimes the scariest storms aren't outside. They're the ones waiting in the dark, just a few rows down.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss an update.